The thing is that the bidding process is a process which has been carried out, and I believe that this matter did go to court or something like that. And this matter, the bidding process, um, is something that is done under the scrutiny of the government of India, the REC, PDCL. They monitor the entire process. So to say that there has been any kind of discrepancies would tantamount to saying that all these agencies, be it the NBCL, be it the REC, be it the government of India, be it the government of Meghalaya, we are all at fault. So I think that uh, there is a inquiry commission. All said and done, there is an inquiry commission. Let it go into the facts. I think that me repeatedly, explaining these things, it will be better for the inquiry commission to come out with the facts and figures rather than me trying to explain everything.
But there is a corruption involved in it, Saubhagya scheme. Do you think?
As I said, I think that to point a finger and to accuse somebody, it's very easy. I mean, today we can, go into many of the items that come out and are published in the news, many issues that come out, and say that there is corruption. But until and unless there is an inquiry, until and unless a fact-finding exercise doesn't take place, I think it's very wrong to come to or jump to conclusions. So let the process of the inquiry commission be completed, and then if the inquiry commission does find out yes, there has been, we will take appropriate action on that.
According to this report, it is similar to the 2G scam, something like that. There's a presumptive clause. That's what they are indicating. Do you think there's a presumptive clause?
I don't want to go into the details of the tendering process because I think that once this matter has been referred to the inquiry commission, me making any statements would, I think, not be in in the fitness of things.
In the light of media reports, is it not desirable that you step down to have a fair probe?
See, the whole process of investigation is going into the MECL and into the workings of the MECL. We all, talk about the autonomy and the independence of the MECL. And, when we say it's an independent autonomous organization, then decision making is confined to its board of directors, right? So, the power department is 100% stakeholder in the MECL, correct? We have two independent directors that represent the government in the board, and all these things take place. But at the end of the day, it is an independent corporation. It is governed by the relevant Companies Act, and therefore that kind of independence is there, which is through which it's functioning. Therefore, I think that the question of the power department having to resign, the power minister having to resign, does not make sense.
Okay, after this media report, have you sought any preliminary report from the MECL?
Mm-hmm.
Since you are heading the power department, have you sought any preliminary report from the MECL following the media reports?
Yes, I have sought, yes.
So,
But it's a preliminary report. We can't really draw any conclusions from a preliminary report, but I have, yes.
so does it say that it is leaked from MECL?
We do not know, but at least we are trying to ascertain where the leak has taken place. But we will be getting into depth into from where this leak has taken place, because it's a very, very serious matter. As I said, this is not just breach of discipline. This is a breach of privilege, because the CAG report is to be tabled in the House. It belongs to the Legislative Assembly, and it is confidential until it is placed in the Legislative Assembly. So there are multiple breach of privileges here, and I think that whoever has leaked it is not aware of the law and the kind of disciplinary action that will be initiated against such kind of individuals.
But there are two things. One is the leaked report, but don't you also give a fair thought? Let the truth also come out. Why should you crucify the whistleblower?
No, it's not a matter of crucifying the whistleblower, Joes. This is a report which is supposed to be tabled, and when the report is tabled, it belongs to the public of Meghalaya. But you cannot, on the basis of certain queries which has been sought by the MECL, you cannot draw conclusions. There may be, certain queries which have been raised to which there may be a reply. How can you quickly jump to conclusion and say that, this is the gospel truth and this is something that indicates that there has been some kind of, malpractice that has taken place. So I think, the fact of the matter is that it is a very confidential document which is supposed to be placed. The report has to come out, and the report comes out after the CAG, as far as my knowledge goes of the procedure, has carried out due diligence and has carried out process as to seek clarification, examine the clarification, then come to its own conclusions and then present the report. Now, before that, you are already jumping to conclusions and saying that there has been malpractice that has taken place. I think that is also very wrong from that point of view. But as I said, for the sake of transparency, for the sake of accountability, this government believes in that. That's why we've gone ahead and constituted this inquiry commission.
So the terms of reference of the commission will also include all aspects of Saubhagya scheme.
So it is not just for the Saubhagya scheme. We all understand that there are many other centrally sponsored schemes. There is the Saubhagya, of course. Then there is the DDU-JGY. There have been many accusations of wrong practices in that. There's the RGGY. Both these schemes have not been closed till now, so we have to, why is it? So many things will have to be inquired into that. There's the IPDS. There are many others, as I was saying, many other schemes. So why do it in a piecemeal? I think if you want to go into the root cause of why the MECL is in such a position, why schemes are not completed on time, why there is a financial crisis today in the MECL, I think it should be done in a holistic manner, not in a piecemeal manner.
There is a mention about some Himanshu Jain who is close to the corridors of power, allegations of nexus with you and others. How far it is true?
I think that I do meet a lot of people, but then, to insinuate that somebody is close to the concerned minister, I think that is very wrong. I think that, any kind of such kind of accusations must be substantiated by facts. And to say, I'm close to somebody and favoring that concerned individual is tantamounts to defamation. And this is very unfortunate. I think that before anyone makes such kind of accusations, they must ascertain the facts first.
And there was another point in this report which said that you have brought in a new secretary, Mr. Manjunath, just to close down the Saubhagya scheme. What do you have to say on that part, on that aspect?
See, people make a lot of noise, change the CMD, right? And then when we change the CMD, why has the government suddenly out of the blue suddenly changed the CMD? Why has the government suddenly changed the Secretary of Power? As we can clearly see that the intention of the opposition party is not there to make valid, complaints and valid points. They're just doing it for the sake of making noise to stay relevant in the narrative. And I think it's very unfortunate that today the opposition is stooping to such low levels. Never has it happened in the state of Meghalaya where the opposition is, just going and making such kind of baseless sort of accusations and baseless sort of points.
So you're saying this leakage is a ploy of the opposition?
I'm not saying that. I am not a person to, to presume things, to jump to conclusions. I will wait till the inquiry report comes, and we will ascertain who the concerned officer or the concerned individual is who has leaked this report. And then only will I make a statement. Why would I jump to conclusions and say this person or that person?
You also mentioned that MSCL is an independent body. It's a corporation, so we understand that it's
Governed by the
yeah,
Companies Act.
Companies Act, yeah. So, in case there are real evidences of allegations of corruption, so will you say that since this is a corporation, it's independent, I don't take responsibility at the end of the day?
No? As I said, the government owns 100%. We are the 100% stake owners. That does not mean that we interfere in the workings of the MECL, right? A company is governed by by the Companies Act, so they have a board of directors. The board of directors takes its decisions, and but there has to be some kind of accountability. And if such kind of things are happening, the government, as I said, is a 100% stake owner. The onus lies on us to make sure that we take note of this and we take corrective steps towards addressing the issue. I think that it would be very irresponsible on the part of the government to say that electricity, which is an essential service, is something we just leave it to the MECL to do whatever they want, and eventually things go from bad to worse. So it is very important that we as a government, we have to step in and take corrective steps.
We have been seeing this trend that wherever you go, the opposition haunts you. I mean, as a home minister, you were the target.
Yeah.
Now you're the home minister. What is the reason that you are the target? There are other 11 cabinet ministers. Why you particularly?
I think that question you should ask the opposition why they have this hots for me. But I think that this is something we'll have to ask them. But I just feel that today the opposition has to understand that we are all in it together. Today I've also been part of opposition. I've been there for 9 long years in the opposition, and we have played the role of a constructive opposition. In the assembly session, we have offered suggestions. We have, always criticized the government, but yet, that is positive criticism because we give our suggestions along with that. So when you have an opposition that plays a constructive, role of a constructive opposition, I think that is, the healthiest form of democracy, because we do not expect the opposition to keep mum. That would not be democracy, and it would fail the democratic principles laid down and enshrined in our constitution. But I think that when you talk the role of the opposition that needs to be played, it has to be one of constructive criticism, which is unfortunately not there here in the state of Meghalaya, which is very unfortunate. And for me, I welcome the role of criticism. I welcome the role of the opposition in pointing out lacunae or in pointing out shortcomings for that matter. But then that has to be along with suggestions. You just can't say MECL today is in a bad financial spot. So if you're in a bad financial spot today, you also have to take part of that responsibility. Like, I'm not saying that the entire fault lies in the opposition. We've been in government for 3.5 years. Yes, partly maybe the fault lies with us as a government also. I'm willing to accept that. But the opposition wants to shy away from that, shrug off that responsibility, and say that Mr. James Sangma, Power Minister for the past 3.5 years, is responsible for all the outstanding dues, is responsible for all the mess that the MECL is in right now. How does that make sense? So today we welcome constructive criticism, and I'm very happy if an opposition party comes forward and points out things for us. Being in the government, sometimes you do tend to miss out many things. We are all human beings after all. But then it's important that that kind of criticism should not be just for the sake of criticism. That kind of criticism has to come up with valuable suggestions. And I will be very happy to take up those suggestions if they deserve any merit.
Yeah, there was a constructive suggestion from the opposition. They would say that please remove CMD Kimberley. That time, at
I
that
do
time,
not think so.
no, at that time you said no, he should stay. But in the end, he was
Okay.
removed.
Okay, once again.
What is the reason? Because he did a wonderful job. Some would say.
No, exactly that's what I'm saying. How is asking the government to remove somebody constructive criticism?
He said
How is it?
inexperienced person. Put in an experienced person, and CM also said that we are putting in
How
an
do you
experienced.
judge a person's performance in 6 months? To call him a person who has failed. How do you do that?
No, the CM, I'm basing my point based on the CM statement. He said we are putting in an experienced bureaucrat in place of Mr. Kembawi. So we are assuming he was an inexperienced person who was running the show, and the opposition is right when they said.
See, now what has happened is that the opposition has asked for an independent inquiry, and they have said that Mr. Kembabi, being a CMD of the corporation, it will not be completely independent if he is still heading the organization. So from that point of view, the opposition's what do you call it point has been taken into consideration. But at the end, it is not, I think, a, a judgment on his performance. I do not think so. It is very unfair to judge a person and his performance in 6 months. MECL, the legacy issues, the problems that exist in the MECL have been going on for so many years. How can you suddenly expect any individual, be it the most experienced, be it the most intelligent, be the person with the best of ideas, you cannot expect. It is humanly impossible for anyone to set everything straight in 6 months, or for that matter 3.5 years. So I think that it's very unfair. And number two, I do not see it as a constructive criticism. You know what a constructive criticism would be? That yes, the billing efficiency is extremely low. Because of billing efficiency being low, wherein people are not being given bills in time. So a lot of people don't get their bills on time, and this has been harped upon by the opposition on the floor of the house many times. Okay, we take note of that, and we agree to that fact that yes, the billing efficiency is low, and people do not get their bills on time. So for an individual who's in a village, who is not economically very well to do, it's not very easy for that individual to suddenly get a bill that is a consolidated bill for 5-6 months, which amounts to 10 to 15,000, and we can't expect him to suddenly pay. But if that was staggered and paid, was given, and his bills were served to him on time, so if it came to about 500 to 1,000 or 1,500, that would make it easier for him to pay. So that is where we talk about billing efficiency. And because these bills are not served in time to individuals, so individuals find it very difficult to pay that consolidated 7-8 months of bill that they get. So fine, we say that yes, that is a problem, and that is why we have because of the repeated such kind of mention in the assembly, we've said, how do we find solutions to that? We have done our due diligence, and we have had our exercise where we've discussed things. And the best examples of how, I'm not talking about states, but countries who have seen this massive turnaround in terms of their billing efficiency, in terms of their reduction in their AT&C losses, has been because of implementation of smart meters. Now this is something that we have seen taking place in other countries. Worldwide, people have gone for smart meters, and they have seen that the benefits of the smart meters is not just the billing efficiency but analytics, which is so extremely important in today's world. So when you have a smart meter that is set in, which will give you immediately on your mobile phone, or for that matter, the customer, who will be able to see that meter and know what is their usage. That kind of flexibility, wherein they can use it as a prepaid meter, where they can go and pay their bills get a scratch card or something like that, and then the number on the keypad, and their bill is paid. So that kind of capability is not just it's not just about that, but it's also about the analytics that we would get. So the whole world has changed. India has come out with a notification. Government of India, Ministry of Power has come out saying that all meters have to be converted to smart prepaid meters in India. Now this is a push in the direction of making sure that all discoms have a turnaround in terms of their billing efficiency and bringing down the AT&C losses. So when we bring that and everyone criticizes us for that, I think that the opposition is very misguided, or their agenda is totally something different.
One more thing, I'm just, is this the same company, Satpal Global, who's also supplying the smart meters? I'm just curious.
I'm not very sure, but yes, there is a JV, if I'm not
Yeah,
wrong,
that's what-
regarding the smart meters. Yes,
This is the same company.
probably it's a JV. Yes.
There are allegations about this hurriedly closing the scheme. Hurriedly,
Really closing what scheme?
the Saubhagya scheme, as per the reports.
See, the Saubhagya scheme is a time-bound scheme, as we all know, and we have seen in the past how all these schemes, which are centrally sponsored scheme, we've not been able to close these schemes. It is actually a very embarrassing thing for the MECL and the state of Meghalaya that schemes have not been closed, the ones which have been implemented in the past. Excuse me. In terms of Saubhagya, hurriedly wanting to close the scheme, I think it is from the point of view of a letter which has come from the Government of India saying that the scheme has to be closed before the 31st of July, failing which the state government will have to bear the whole expenditure of the Saubhagya scheme. So there is that, I think, the sense of urgency to make sure that the scheme is closed.
But then how much percentage of work? You have to finish the work, then only you can close.
I'm very sure REC and the other program monitoring units, and of course the MECL has done its due diligence, and they have completed their paperwork and submitted their reports. Based on those only, closure will be given. It is not just someone's whims and fancies that closure reports are given.
What is the percentage of implementation in the state of the scheme? So, do you have any figures?
Well, if we're moving for closure, I would presume that it has been completed. I don't go into such kind of nitty-gritties and all these kind of details, but I'm presuming, yeah.
So we will come up with PPS.